All right, now we get into the top 5. All right. Here's a team I really, really like. Really like. In a conference that is not tough, Clemson. I think Dabo Swinney is going to have a group that is capable of winning the national championship. Clemson is really good. Dabo's done it before. And listen, for all the criticism that he's gotten over the last couple of years, I'll give it to him, man. He has stayed the course. He has been consistent. He is going to ride this Clemson culture right into what I think is almost like it's like a Twilight type of it. It's like they are reemerging at the top end of college football. I think we saw that last year. Even though they made the playoff, no one really was talking about them. You know, they kind of beat SMU in that ACC championship game, and you know, you're kind of wondering, how is this going to go against Texas? And they played really well. They played really well against Texas. They gave Texas everything they could handle. And that Texas team was a really good football team. They get Cade Klubnik back. Okay. 3rd season as a starting quarterback. He took a big step forward last year with Garrett Riley as his offensive coordinator. They found something that has been missing in recent years, which is wide receiver play. Those guys back. Top 3 wide receivers are back, with Antonio Williams being the number 1. 2 players who played really well as freshmen last year, Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore, all back. Love that. New defensive coordinator, Tom Allen. I'm a big fan of Tom Allen. Been covering him since he was the head coach at Indiana, and then he was the defensive coordinator for Penn State last year. He's the new defensive coordinator for Clemson. The defensive line has studs. All right, let's think back to those teams that did win national championships. What did they have on the defensive side for Brent Venables, then coordinator? Great players on the defensive line, and they're going to have that again. 2 potential first-round picks in Peter Woods and TJ Parker. So they're loaded on defense. Talent on both lines of scrimmage, and that's what you need. And the schedule is, listen, first and last games should be their toughest opponents. They're going to have an opener against LSU at home, and then they're going to have South Carolina on the road. They don't play Miami this year. Their toughest game in the ACC is at Georgia Tech, at Louisville, and maybe home against SMU. Watch out for Clemson. I'm just telling you right now, Dabo Swinney is going to have those boys back, and they're going to be playing at a high level. At number 4, getting to some high-level teams here, Oregon. I believe in Dante Moore. We forgot about Dante Moore. I'm just telling you right now, we forgot about Dante Moore. This was a highly recruited guy that went to UCLA and played for Chip Kelly and played as a true freshman. Now, he was playing behind a really bad offensive line, and there was a start in particular and some snaps in particular that he took in Rice-Eccles Stadium against Utah on the road when that Utah defense was fierce. It didn't go well for him. They went in a different direction. He transferred and he sat behind Dylan Gabriel last year at Oregon, and now he's going to get his shot. I think Dante Moore, is a dark horse Heisman candidate. Watch out for Dante Moore. He was a huge recruit, and I think that he is a good fit for Will Stein's offense, the offensive coordinator up there. He's going to have Evan Stewart back. The 5-star wide receiver, DeCorian Moore, could be this year's freshman star wide receiver like we saw last year with Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. Lanning has a pipeline of talent just year over year coming through those doors in Eugene. They've got the number 1 transfer portal class by average player ranking. A guy that I really love, and he is a Lanning-style player for that defense. Dylan Thieneman comes in from Purdue. This is a good player, folks. Watch out for the running back. Mekhi Hughes comes in from Tulane. This is going to be a damn good team. And remember now, no one's talking about them since they got bounced so early in the playoffs. In their first playoff game, by the way, in that Rose Bowl, they were undefeated, number 1 in the country. They had that one terrible outing against Ohio State. You think that this offseason hasn't had some urgency around it in Eugene? I know it has. So watch out for Oregon. At number 3, I've got Ohio State. Obviously, questions at quarterback, and really question in terms of how they're going to replace this heavy number of talented NFL draft picks They've got to replace 14 NFL draft picks. 14, that's wild, but have the two best players in the country. This is what's so crazy. They just had 14 players drafted, and the two best football players in America are still in Columbus. Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver, Caleb Downs, the safety. That's wild. Big shifts on the coaching staff, which they're going to have to navigate. Ryan Day is going to have to navigate that. However, Brian Hartline has been from within, so he's now going to be the offensive coordinator as Chip Kelly moves on to go to Vegas and be with the Raiders. Hartline has long been in line for this job. This guy is going to be a head coach. Brian Hartline has been the best position coach in America for the last 5 years. You look at his position room, and that is clear. It is unequivocal. And now Ryan Day puts him in the coordinator's position. And he will rely on him because that was one of the keys last year to the way that Ohio State was able to manifest a championship is that Ryan didn't have to game plan and call the plays offensively. He thought it was a great position to be in, to sit back, evaluate the way the team was playing, in particular after losses to Oregon and Michigan, and adjust and manipulate the way that their philosophy was playing out. All of that, I think, is still going to be there. Julian saying, is it his job? Is it Keenholt's? I'm not sure, but they're still going to be able to throw to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. They're still going to throw to Brandon Inniss. They're still going to have backs to hand it to. The defense, even though they lost a lot of players, they bring in Matt Patricia as the defensive coordinator. And I guess it's a bit of a wait and see, but we're not going to have to wait and see much very long because they're going to face Texas right away. Opening game. They do host Penn State in the shoe, and they go to Ann Arbor and play Michigan. That Texas team that they face in the opening week of the season is my number 2 team in the country. Texas, number 2. Coming off back-to-back semifinal appearances, it's officially the Arch Manning era. Okay, I was looking at these last 3 teams as the teams that I had kind of in this bunch: Ohio State, Texas, and my number 1 team. Before I get to them, I'll just tell you that now it's officially Arch Manning time. I believe he is going to be my Heisman frontrunner to begin the year. I think he can have that impact and that large of a season. They get C.J. Baxter back to pair with Trey Wisner at a running back. There are some holes to fill, but again, Steve Sarkisian, like Ryan Day, like Dan Lanning, like Kirby Smart, like Nick Saban used to do at Alabama, they're just reloading at Texas. Number 1 recruiting class in the country last year. I think the biggest concern for me with Texas is that they're replacing a lot on the offensive line. That is a bit concerning. They're going to be young but talented at wide receiver. They've still got Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore. Watch out for him. The defense should be excellent, and it should give that offensive line a little bit of time to get their feet wet. Colin Simmons is a star at defensive end. Anthony Hill, he's going to play All-American level at linebacker. Michael Taff is a terrific leader at the safety position, so they're good at every level of defense. They hit the portal hard to reinforce the defensive line. Steve Sarkisian has built a program that is a preeminent program in college football. You don't have to ask if Texas is back. They are absolutely back. They've been in the national semifinals in 2 straight years, and they may get past that this year. They will start for me at number 2. That leaves my way too early post-spring number 1 team in the country as the Penn State Nittany Lions. They're following the blueprint of the teams that have just won the national championship. This is why I am putting them in this spot. You look at what Michigan did in 2023. You look at what Ohio State did in 2024. Both of those teams had a core group of veteran players stay. They stayed and they won a championship. Both of those teams had veterans at quarterback. They had veterans on both sides of the ball. They were excellent at the line of scrimmage. They had chips on their shoulders from the way that they were bounced in the postseason in years prior. All of that is true about Penn State. They're returning their quarterback, both running backs, Singleton and Allen, 4 players on the offensive line. They brought in Jim Knowles as their defensive coordinator to pair with Andy Kotelnicki as their offensive coordinator. He's in year 2. I look at this, and my only question was at wide receiver for James Franklin. We saw how bad it was at wide receiver last year, okay? In the loss to Notre Dame, they got 0 catches from their wide receivers. 0. 0 catches. That's incredible. So they brought in 3 wide receivers. Kyron Hudson, redshirt senior from USC. Trevor Pena from Syracuse. Love him. Love him. All ACC slot receiver. You've got Devontae Ross, Sunbelt receiver, all Sunbelt receiver from Troy. Reinforcements. I think they're going to be better at wide receiver. Now, the question becomes, along with, to pair with a guy like, I think, a steady wide receiver like Liam Clifford, can they replace Tyler Warren? That'll remain to be seen. They will have to get that production from outside. All right? I like this team. I like this team a lot. The last question I would have for Penn State is the last hurdle that Penn State has. Penn State has proven, really for a number of years, they will absolutely take care of business. They will beat the teams that they should beat. What we haven't seen from Penn State is them rise up and win the game that I would call a matchup game. When they're looking across and the talent is equated and they may even be a bit of an underdog, can they win that game? Because up until this point, they haven't. Can they? Yes. I absolutely believe that they can. You know, they beat SMU, they beat Boise State, but then they lose to Notre Dame. We see this in the Big Ten schedule where they haven't been able to beat, you know, the Michigans of the world and the Ohio States. They were close. I mean, they were close. They had 1st and goal inside the 5 to tie the game in the 4th quarter against Ohio State, but they didn't. So that's the next step. I believe they will take the next step. I believe that Penn State is ready to take the next step with their veterans. Drew Aller leading the charge. I think he's going to have a big, big year. So there you go. There's my top 25. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.